Rediscovering Gita for the Modern World by Shrikant Soman. Based on essays on Gita by Sri Aurobindo. Chapter 9 continued. Sankhya, Yoga and Vedanta. Continued from the previous episode 72, Beyond Contradiction, the Gita's answer to Arjuna's confusion. Current episode 73. From ritual to realization, the Gita's path of unified action and knowledge. The Gita's revolutionary synthesis beyond Sankhya and Vedanta. The Gita's core message, the supremacy of inner experience. Key takeaways. Contrasting paths to liberation. While Sankhya and the Yoga of knowledge seek liberation through an intellectual understanding of the soul's inactivity and the complete renunciation of worldly action, the Gita's Yoga views action itself as a direct path to freedom, provided it is done with inner renunciation. Inner versus outer renunciation. The Gita's core teaching is that true renunciation is an inner act of giving up ego and desire, not a physical abandonment of work. Once this inner state is achieved, a person can remain active in the world without being bound by their actions. Reconciling Vedantic schools. The Gita reconciles two opposing schools of Vedanta, Karma Kanda, which focused on rituals for material gain, and Jnana Kanda, which sought spiritual liberation. The Gita strongly criticizes the former, while incorporating the latter's goal into a more comprehensive, action-oriented path. The limitation of scripture. The Gita claims that the Vedas, while authoritative, are ultimately limited to the material world's three gunas. It argues that for someone with true inner knowledge, scriptures become redundant, like a well in a flooded area. Point 1. The primacy of inner realization. The Gita's ultimate message is that spiritual liberation is achieved through direct, inner experience, not just by following or debating religious texts. It emphasizes that a clear, stable mind, samadhi, is needed to transcend the confusion caused by scriptures and attain yoga. Sankhya and Vedanta versus yoga and works. Sankhya and the yoga of knowledge. Both approaches use intellectual analysis, buddhi, to understand the difference between the eternal soul and the temporary actions of nature, prakriti. They aim to free the soul from the illusion of being the doer. For these paths, liberation comes from renouncing worldly life and actions entirely, as their ultimate goal is to return to a state of complete inactivity and stillness. Vedanta aims for the soul to realize it is the one inactive Brahman, causing the world of action to disappear as an illusion, Maya. Sankhya aims for the soul to realize it is the inactive Purusha, causing the actions of nature, gunas, to cease. The Yoga of the Gita and the Yoga of works. In contrast, the Gita's Yoga sees action not just as a preparation but as the direct path to liberation. This idea, which was lost for a long time in Indian thought, is now regaining importance. Renunciation is essential, but it is an inner rejection of desire and ego, not a physical abandonment of work. Once you achieve this inner renunciation, physically giving up action becomes unnecessary. Knowledge is crucial, but it must be combined with action. By uniting knowledge and works, the soul can achieve a state of inner peace, even while engaged in intense activity. Devotion is also a key element, but it too is combined with action. Through the synthesis of knowledge, devotion and works, the soul can ascend to the highest state of the Ishvara, God, and become one with the Purushottama, who is the master of both eternal peace and cosmic activity. This combination is the core synthesis of the Gita. Besides the difference between Sankhya and Yoga, the Gita also addresses another conflict within the Vedanta tradition itself. This was the disagreement between two schools of thought. Karmakanda, Purvamimamsa. This school focused on the traditional Vedic hymns and sacrifices. Its followers believed the purpose of religion was to perform these rituals correctly to gain material desires in this life, such as wealth, family, and victory, and to achieve heavenly pleasures after death. This was a pragmatic view of religion. Gyankant, Uttamimamsa. This school saw the Vedic rituals as a lesser form of knowledge. It emphasized a higher, more metaphysical understanding of the Brahman, the ultimate reality, found in the Upanishads. For them, the true goal of human life was not worldly or heavenly enjoyment, but spiritual liberation and the ultimate bliss of knowing Brahman, which goes far beyond any temporary pleasures. The Gita's purpose is to reconcile these two opposing views and integrate them into a more comprehensive spiritual path. To start its argument, the Gita strongly criticizes those who follow the most traditional paths of the Veda. It calls their beliefs a flowery word and accuses its followers of having a narrow mindset, driven by desires for worldly pleasures and a place in heaven. The Gita appears to even question the Veda itself, which is considered the ultimate authority in Indian thought. It says the Vedas are concerned with the three gunas, qualities of material nature, but advises Arjuna to go beyond them. The text then says that for someone who has true knowledge, the Vedas, including the Upanishads, are unnecessary. The passage uses an analogy: as much use as there is in a well with water in flood on every side, so much is there in all the Vedas for the Brahmin who has the knowledge. This means that when a person has found complete inner knowledge, the external knowledge from scriptures becomes redundant. Furthermore, the Gita suggests that clinging to scriptures can even be a hindrance. It states that the conflicting and varied interpretations of the scriptures can confuse the mind, which can only find clarity and focus through inner spiritual realization. It says, when your intelligence shall cross beyond the whole of delusion, then you will become indifferent to the scriptures you have heard or have yet to hear. And when your intelligence, which is bewildered by the scriptures, stands unmoving and stable in samadhi, then you will attain to yoga. The meaning of these verses is clear. True spiritual liberation comes from direct inner experience, not just from following religious texts. Some people have tried to interpret these verses differently to make them less controversial, but the message remains consistent throughout the Gita.